I'm Andrea Spring, the owner and chef of Sign of the Mermaid restaurant, and I am also the American Pie Council Crisco National Pie Champion for 2007. My choices to make the pies that I made last year were based on a lot of experiments. I didn't start out with any in particular that I wanted to enter in any category. I just experimented with each category until I got the very best pie for that category that I thought would be the winner. The key lime pie that I won best overall for was really not the pie that I picked to win, but it did. And I guess, it's a Florida favorite, so I think that was why it was a big favorite with them. And the other first place winner was an espresso chocolate pie. That's a pie I do here at the restaurant, but in a very simple form. And I just made it a little more complicated, gave it some more layers, gave it some more texture and flavors, and but using that same basic recipe. I've been baking since I was a kid, and pies being an easy recipe, that was one of the first things that I started making at that time. And because they are simple recipes, I've continued that through my professional life, because with small kitchens, which most of us are in, and not a lot of time, we want to get as much done well as we can. And a pie just fits into that category. It's easy, it's quick, and it gets the job done. Everybody loves pie. It's all American. I have to say that some pies are a lot faster than others. Cream pies, refrigerator pies, that sort of thing are a lot faster to make than a traditional apple pie or fruit pie where you have to clean all of the fruit. But I have to say my very favorite pie is apple pie, so I will spend the time peeling the apples and making the crust and everything else that it takes, and it's worth it. But for restaurants, honestly, those kind of pies really don't sell as well, because it's something that you can go to a bakery and get. I think people, when they go out to restaurants, want something a little fancier and different. And the cream pies, like I said, are just a lot easier, fit into my schedule a lot better. I can't keep up with it sometimes. Sometimes I have to come in and bake every day during season, which can be a lot of work. I try to make them as far as I can ahead of time, but you don't want it more than 2 days old, because then just the whole structure of the pie starts to change, and it's just not as good. I would say don't go with the standard Granny Smith apples. That's what most of your recipes will call for. I think they're way too tart. I would suggest looking baking apples up online. And a lot of sites will have a whole list of apples that are perfect to bake with, and lists of apples that are not good to bake with, and they'll tell you why. I would say mix up your apples. Don't maybe use 2 kinds or maybe even 3 kinds, but don't stick to the standard Granny Smiths, because they're just too tart. You have to use too much sugar, and some people don't like a super sweet dessert. You want to taste the apples. If you don't have a really, really good crust recipe and people are like throwing away their crust when they're eating your pie, then you should buy a pie crust, a refrigerator pie crust to make one, because they really are very good. But I would suggest if you're really, really into making pies, find yourself a good pie crust recipe. Just experiment a couple of times and look up a recipe that says best pie crust, and that person, whoever gave out that recipe, is very proud of it. So it's probably really good. So give it a try.